run by Cirque du Soleil. There's a look at Patrick Byrne and Guy Cosmo. They have been very fast since they came into this championship. They are not eligible for points. This duo in the Western Championship clinched at the preceding round at Portland. And the reason is they were just wicked quick all year, and they've lived up to that here as well. That's Harry Gottsacker and John Miller for ST Racing. I'm Greg Kramer, Calvin Fish alongside. I'm looking forward to this one, Cal. These guys have been just superb this year.
Should be great, Greg. 3 of the 4 titles on the line have been sealed, but certainly there's a big one, and it's led by this team. Hart and Travis, they have a 4-point lead over the 19 machine of Stephen Cameron Racing, and a lot to play for here today. Stephen Cameron Racing put the fastest car on the racetrack. Unfortunately, they had to share a different car this weekend. They've got a 10-grid penalty, but they have the fastest car in this field.
They have shown the ability as this year has unfolded to be able to come back and run right up at the front. Here's a team that has been very effective this year, running in the Eastern SprintX Championship, but because Alan Brynjolfsson is pursuing the Global Porsche Cup, they have come here and entered as a one-off in the Western Championship. Flying Lizard, always a contender, with a quickly learning Michael Dinan, and Robbie Foley has been winning in every championship he's run in this year. And then this dynamic duo, if you will, Vesko Kozarov, incredibly quick. These are AM category cars, along with Jeff Burton, and they have been exceptionally good, to the point, as you said, they have clinched that Western AM Championship, or the National Championship in the AM categories. We take a look at the starting lineup. 2 of the ST Racing cars in the front 2 rows. They have been very, very quick. And, of course, Ken Tan, who's the team principal, birthday presents for him this weekend, certainly, as we go down through this field. But I think we're going to see some absolutely fabulous racing. Second of the 2 doubleheader events with the 2 drivers. If you have differently rated drivers in the car, the faster rated driver has qualified and has to start in this one. This should be a barn burner.
Yeah, there's some really fast GT drivers in this field here. They're going to be taking the green flag, so it should be exciting. And there's still a lot on the lines, we said, with that overall championship going down to the wire. Just 4 points over an amazing 15 races run so far. 16th event here today, so it's been very tight. And when you think about it, for Travis and Hart, they went on a tear, winning the first 5 races of the championship season. They've now won 7, only have a 4-point lead because Stephen Cameron Racing with Quinlan and Lafarge have been so quick here in the second half of the season.
Yeah, they've stacked up a number of wins in that second half to come right back at it. And watching the dynamic as these races have unfolded, and you see these guys, they, if they have an issue, they somehow are able to come from the back and run them down. It's just been spectacular, and a good-sized field here as well. 20 cars going to be set to go here, looking at the TRG Racers Group entry. And let's take a look at this Las Vegas Motor Speedway Roval, if you will. And as you can see, you run the aprons on the 2 ends of the track, but that infield is serpentine.
It really is. It's a great rhythm section. It's tough to pass on, but I think with these cars that we've seen over the course of the weekend, they've been able to do that because there's such a variety of manufacturers out there. They develop their speeds and their gear ratios are slightly different, so it gives one car a little bit more acceleration than another, so it should be exciting to watch there through that middle sector.
What we've been seeing is if a car tends to be quick in Sector 1 and 3, it's not always that good in Sector 2 because you need a little bit different setup on the car to make it work here. We anticipate having the engines fire up right about now. And indeed they do. One of my favorite moments of any race, one just because it indicates we're absolutely ready to get going here, but this is one of the very special things about multiple class, multiple driver sports car racing is the diversity of the manufacturers in the field as well. Lots of different power plants, lots of different drive lines. They all make a unique sound, as I like to call it. It's an orchestra of great instruments, and the symphony it produces is pretty special.
It's going to be fun to watch this one. It's been a brilliant season. 60-minute race. Mandatory pit stop happens between the 25 and 35-minute mark. No tire changes or refueling or anything. Strictly a driver change. 69 seconds is the minimum time you have to spend on pit lane without serving a penalty.
And there was a lot of concern early in the weekend about, in this category where you don't do the tire change, about what would happen. Would you have tire to be able to hand it over to that second driver? Well, the track has rubbered in really remarkably well. I think that's been a bit mitigated, hasn't it?
It really has, and the grip level's up. It's a relatively cool day. Wind is blowing fiercely, about 25-mile-an-hour breeze out there, which is has the potential to make the race surface a little bit slippy as it blows some of the dust across, but so far so good. We're seeing some good action here earlier in the day.
And we saw some good action in this race yesterday in the first of the doubleheader races. Let's go back and take a look at some highlights from yesterday's race that help sort of set the stage for what's unfolding today. And at the launch, you can see it was Vesko Kozarov who had that car on pole. And then a beautiful move, Cal. Look how he was tucking in behind the Andretti car and then just popped back to the inside.
Yeah, Colin Mullen gives it up there. You see James Safrodas there tucking in behind in the GMG Porsche.
And this little battle to number 28, that is one of the ST Racing entries. The 51 Panos ended up coming in when their competitors weren't able to make it to the race, clinching that AM championship, but they raced hard. Then a bit of an over-opportunistic moment here and some contact.
Yes, unfortunately there, Samantha Tan gets turned around, then a brilliant move there down to the inside. 91 car is starting to struggle for grip a little bit later in the going here. Vesko Kozarov from the pole, but at the end it was Andretti Autosport.
Getting a big win for that team after Andretti getting his first overall pro win in the sprint category earlier in the season. Really solid runs for him. So as the field is out on the pace and installation lap, the Acura NSX leads them through. We will be back for the green flag in the deserts battle. Once again, the car will work its way around. They do a pace lap and a half here and start on that infield section of track. And we have seen that, I'll tell you, that Rennsport Mercedes, since it finally showed up after the incident on the way to the Glen, and they had to make last-minute adjustments with the accident of the hauler, and they showed up at Road America, that car just rolled off quick.
They've been really fast, right in the mix for all of the races that we've seen them at. And talking to Guy Cosmo and Patrick Byrne this weekend, they've been very happy with that crew, the setup that they have on that Mercedes AMG GT4 car. John Shapiro is the engineer and kind of leads the charge there. So excellent crew, great experience, and it's showing with the performance.
Giving a look at the starting lineup, row by row. And again, Gregory Leafouge actually set the fastest time in this qualifying session, Cal, but they're relegated to start back in the 11th spot due to
car switch.
A car switch, yeah, quite literally. So they've got some work to do, but we've seen them be able to pull that kind of thing off before as well.
Yeah, well, we've seen certainly Michael Cooper displayed in the sprint race yesterday that his GT4 cars can execute passes here on this layout. And I think Greg Leafouge will certainly be trying to make some ground here very quickly once we see the green.
Just watching really flick that basically orange and blue BMW, and he'll be starting in, really trying to scrub those tires up there. He's just popped into frame behind that sort of dynamic green machine from BGB Motorsports. There he is, Leafouge right there. And then the rest of this field, as they are getting ready to head to the start of this one.
Such a shame that they had car issues in a very important race weekend for them. Cost them 10 grid positions both days, so.
Yeah, it really is. Now the Acura NSX safety car has just continued on at turn 3. And now the field being brought around by Guy Cosmo in the red Rentec Mercedes and Harry Gottsacker in the ST Racing GPI machine. Field coming to the green for the season finale of Pirelli GT4 America's SprintX and SprintX West championship competition. They will come out of turn 7. They are allowed to start to make the acceleration run, and this is about where it would happen. And there goes Cosmo. Gottsacker trying to stay with him. Hart and Jason Wolf, but already Cosmo just enough of a head of steam built up. Late attempt down into turn number 8 by Hart. He realized he wasn't close enough, Cal.
No, he wasn't, but oh, that's really tight there. This is Trent Hinman we're on board with right now. Trying to make some ground in the early going. Oh, and he gets elbowed out of the way by Jared Andretti.
Well, the action is starting right off the go here, isn't it?
Not sure if there was contact or not, but certainly the Andretti machine cut through for position. Big move from 8th on the grid.
A great start as Cosmo leads the field out and onto that north apron run, which brings them up onto the tri-oval to complete the first half lap of racing. Yeah, and I'll tell you, Andretti was up on it, cleared Hinman. Right behind Hinman now, he is Robbie Foley, who's another driver That has pretty stout pace here. Oh, and a big stack up. Leah Fouge almost getting caught out. Had to open the wheel up, Cal.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he got in the ABS there and just had the front go numb on him, but he certainly had to make some room there. He's under pressure now from behind from Jeff Burton in the red and racing number 91.
Good run here. Jason Wolf right on the back of Hart. Jason in the second of those sort of multicolored ST racing cars, the GPI Biotech entries. He's trying to attack. Cosmo a little wide there, and Miller thought maybe I've got to run, then decided he best wait.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. It's tough there through that that corner to get enough of a run to get inside and clear that competitor by the time you get to the apex of turn 4.
That would have been Gottsacker, who's actually got the nod to, after qualifying, to start this one. Pretty much a horse apiece when it comes to Miller and Gottsacker. They're both just plain good.
They're one of those tough driving partnerships that really don't compromise anything. It doesn't matter who's starting or finishing. On board here with Hinman.
I tell you, great start here. Behind Hinman is Owen Trinkler, who's come up from 10th up into the 7th spot. Great start, has snuck around on Foley.
Yeah, you see that big curve to the inside of turn 12. You got to stay off that as they now accelerate up onto the speedway. Look at Jared Andretti making a move there. He gets inside Jason Wolf.
Boy, did he get a drive out of turn 12, and that's such an important corner to launch well out of because it takes you basically onto the second longest straight here.
He is on the attack. He's already had a podium finish today in the sprint race a little bit earlier this morning. Very much in the groove, and they've got that McLaren dialed in from Andretti Autosport, that Winter World machine.
He's tucking in right now behind Hart. He's got to run, and he'll get a little bit of a pull off of Hart here. Let's see if he's able to do anything down into turn 3.
McLarens are really strong here this weekend. Decides to wait. Just wasn't quite close enough, and Jason Hart is really deep on the brakes as there goes really wide Jason Wolf. Hinman floats out wide as well, and Trinkler right behind them.
Everybody pushing incredibly hard. And just watch Leah Fouge for a minute there heading into 3. I caught a glimpse. He looked down to the inside of Robbie Foley. Wasn't close enough.
Well, the problem for Leah Fouge, who's in the championship mix, only 4 points out of the lead. Tough to cut through this field when you got guys like Robbie Foley, Trinkler, Hinman, Wolf, Andretti, etc. up in front of you before you can even get to Jason Hart.
Yeah, that's pretty stout depth in this field. No question of that here. Looking up, Hart now got a nice run. Oh, and Wolf there looked like he just had a little bit of a bobble. Hinman thought maybe I could take advantage.
Hinman coming off a GT3 championship that he earned last weekend at Road Atlanta. Busy boy this year, running in 3 different championships.
Yeah, he just continues to win in everything he does. You wait for a manufacturer to wake up and say, we got to sign this kid.
I think Acura like him in terms of what they did in that GT3 championship. See what happens down the road. Meanwhile, battle intensifying here, right behind Hart.
Hart, Andretti, Wolf, Hinman, Trinkler, Foley, Leah Fouge. I'll tell you, a good start here. Doing a nice job is Jeff Burton, who's the he's an AM driver, and Kozarov is rated as AM, but certainly Kozarov is the quicker of the two, and Burton is able to just kind of hang on to this group of pros, essentially.
But Jared Andretti, he wants to go on the attack. All he's thinking about here today is winning, but he probably knows the championship scenario. He knows that the man in front of him is fighting for that title. These cars just floating through turn 5 there, up and over the curb. Long radius, 6 and 7 really becomes one corner, and then this middle section, a lot of speed you can carry down here to the brake zone for turn 8. That's where we started the race from.
Hart again attacking on Harry Gottsacker, and Gottsacker able to defend, but Hart took a look. They were side by side for a minute down in the run to turn 8. You bring up a good point. You know, Andretti not in any championship mix. The guy right in front is, and you want to be a little bit circumspect there, don't you? Because down the road, you might be racing that guy, and you might be in a championship battle. And racers tend to have long memories when they want to.
That's right. But, you know, Jared Andretti is here to win for him and his team, so he's not going to give him too much free space.
A little bit deeper in the field, the number 2 of Jason Bell in the Global Motorsports Group entry. Behind him, the number 5 of Dennis. It's Casey Dennis. Ooh, side by side. That's why Bell was so far back. He went down to the inside of John Teesey in the BGB number 69, and the two had contact.
The back stretch, settling down a little bit up front. Cosmo's not able to drive away from this pack. Gap is under 1 second, maybe less than that right now.
As he leads through turn 3 as they make the run into the infield. And once again, at the third place Porsche of Hart, hounding the BMW of Harry Gottsacker. Able to find a way through just now. Andretti really floating wide there, Cal.
Yeah, just picked up a little bit of understeer there, just let the car have its head. I think that's the key. You just want to not really grind on those front tires if you do find an imbalance in the race car. Right now we've got the top 14 cars separated by less than 10 seconds on the racetrack.
I believe you call that good stuff.
It's tight.
These races, it is.
Gottsacker doing a really nice job here withstanding the pressure from Jason Hart. Jason Hart may be one of the most underrated drivers in this field. He's a great coach, and when he gets behind the wheel himself, he is really up on it. He's shown tremendous pace this season as he chases after that championship.
Boy, Andretti getting a run out of 12, though, and was able to glom onto these guys in a hurry. But the problem is you get into this really narrow braking area, it's tough to make any kind of a pass, isn't it?
It is. We really haven't seen anyone make a move down in there, which is quite remarkable. It's just so narrow, it just funnels down in there, and it's going to be high risk. If you get to the inside, there is nowhere for the outside driver to go.
See Jason Hart in the Porsche running the short line, staying tucked in a little bit early, then he floats out wide, and Andretti running it a little bit differently. He starts out wide and then cuts in just a bit. And it's really what line around that long south apron run works better for your car setup.
Jason Wolf there running right in front of him, and we're on board with. He and Samantha Tan should lock up second in the AM standings in the West Division here this weekend. Been a strong season for them. Oh, Trent looking to get to the inside, working him over. Grabs another gear as the BMW accelerates off the corner, pretty evenly matched, as you can see. Not much to choose between the two manufacturers here in pace. Now down to the inside, nice move by Trent Hinman, beautifully judged.
Decisive.
That's how you do it. You just float to the inside at the last second. That was sweet.
That was classic. Behind them, Owen Trinkler now. A little bit of side-by-side. This kills that smidge of momentum at this stage, and Trinkler hoping maybe I can do something here. He's got Robbie Foley and Leafoge right behind him.
It was just beautifully executed by Trent Hinman.
That's one of those, if you're doing a driving school, you have that clip of video and say, here's how you do it.
He just bleed across the rear bumper and just slide it down to the inside. And then just pin the outside driver out there. Cosmo maintaining that position up front for Wentec.
In this lead group of 9 cars, still covered by a scant 4 seconds, and then there's another 4 seconds back to Burton and the rest of the field. That just gives you an idea. One, the parity of machinery with the GT4 homologation rules, and then you stack this field with amazingly talented drivers that they can run this close.
4 different manufacturers represented in the top 4. Mercedes AMG leads from BMW, from Porsche, from McLaren.
And there's an Audi up there. It's a 5 in the top 7. Yeah, impressive.
Andretti there just really running wide through turn 7. Just can't keep the front hooked up there on his McLaren.
And as we're watching Guy Cosmo, not driving away by any means, but hanging on to a lead here. Let's get down and hear from his co-driver with Ryan.
Patrick Byrne, Guy doing a great job leading this race. You'll be getting in here in, what, 10, 15 minutes or so. How much would you relish the chance to get out there and lead overall for a while?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the pit stop. He's quite a bit ahead. Rennsport gave us a great car today, and so he's telling us that's phenomenal. We've been battling with some stuff all weekend, and all of a sudden now we got a good car for the final race, the final season, so it works out. But yeah, it seems like he's going to be pretty good. He's miles ahead, and as long as we have a flawless pit stop, I'll be there.
No better way to close out the season than to ride off into the sunset with a win, right?
Yeah, that's right, especially here in Vegas.
Exactly right. We'll let you get ready, and best of luck in your stint.
Thank you very much.
And maybe it shows the depth of competition when 7/10 is regarded as miles ahead.
I was going to say, that's impressive, and certainly that Torkson Mercedes, Rennsport doing the job, but I caught that too and thought, I love the comments. And you love it when a plan comes together. If you're going to struggle and then have the car come right, last race of the season is not a bad time for it.
No, and they're a great driver pairing. I mean, Guy's been working with Patrick in terms of mentoring and bringing him up to speed, and they've run in championships around the globe. Ran in the Asian Le Mans Championship last season, so it's been a great partnership.
You ride on board with Trent Hinman as he finds himself in the top 5 overall in the Pirelli GT4 America SprintX Championship, hounding Jared Andretti in the McLaren right in front. Hinman had just a little while ago laid down a beautiful pass to pick up that 5th spot and has run down Andretti. In front of him Hart, then Gottsacker, and then your leader up front is Guy Cosmo in the Rentec Torkson Mercedes. As Hinman out of turn number 12 onto the south apron.
You can hear there as he's switching through the gears. It seems like that Porsche is a little bit too low in terms of the gear ratio through turns 11 and 12. So it's really all about how your gear set works with the different manufacturers. Here's that move that he put on Jason Wolf, beautifully judged there down into the brake zone for turn 8.
Yep, it was decisive. Didn't show his nose, give it away, but when he did it, it was just an absolute surgical move. Beautiful stuff here. And now he's just got to figure out a way through on Jared Andretti. And it's interesting, you look at, there are times when Trent Hinman is all over the back of that McLaren. And then there's the times when that McLaren just looks to have a little bit more leg in it. And that's one of the interesting things is, you know, on a lap time, the cars are all really equal, but sometimes how they get there is a little bit differently, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, Trent Hinman has the fastest lap of the race at 1:42.3, so he's got the pace, but you can see that the competition is tough. It's hard to make the moves. It's close through here. Great onboard shots here, and listening to his throttle trace through this sector is really interesting.
Looks like that McLaren is a little bit
short shift right there, right there. It seems like there's a difference in gear ratio. And then listen in here. He's in that low gear there. Almost overslows the car too much. Just grabs a quick short shift right there.
Right here, and then you see that McLaren just start to ease away. So it definitely has a little bit more leg. Handles well in the straights, as a colleague of ours used to say.
Well, the other thing is to put into perspective the performance that Jason Hart is putting in here. Trent Hinman is regarded as one of the superstars of our sport right now, and Jason Hart is running it very well in equal machinery, a couple of positions up ahead.
That's a really good point. Jason is definitely a coaching guru, there's no question of that, but he loves running with Nolasport. He's mentioned a couple of times, he said, I'd love to get some other opportunities as well to work with that, and I think he's proving that team owner would be smart to say, hey, can we talk?
Gottsacker's having a really strong day. ST Racing had a tremendous season. A couple of cars running up in the top 6. Should clean up in terms of first and second place in the driver's standings for the SprintX Western Division.
Yeah, the duo of Gottsacker and John Miller, as we said, having clinched already.
Trinkler might have just gotten around Jason Wolf there in the backdrop. I think I saw the Audi in front.
really, really strong in this section of the track, and this is just tough to make anything happen here, isn't it?
Just have to be so patient. If you overdrive through here, you're going to be slower. It's right there in that third gear ratio aspect that the McLaren just stretches a bit.
Right now, this lead group of 5 been able to open up a little bit of a gap. Not huge, but a little bit of a gap back to Wolf. And you're right, Trinkler is through.
Yeah, and for Leofouge, he's just had a tough day, not making a lot of progress. That grid penalty really hurt him. He should have started from the pole. He started in 11th, only up to 8th. And for them to claim the championship, they have to beat the 47 car by a minimum of 4 points. On the tiebreaker right now, the 47 would have it on wins.
We've seen in this category, in these second races on the weekend, a lot of the success in terms of finishing position comes down to the co-drivers, and they are the AM drivers. And a lot of times it's certainly about who's fast, but also who can deal with pressure. Those onboard shots, fun to watch.
It really is. Racetrack is cool.
Yeah, it is
fun. I mean, a lot of uncertainty coming in here. No one really knew it. Oh, Hinman looks to the inside. Andretti tries to surprise him. That was so close, the contact. Jared Andretti just doesn't flinch.
Yeah, up front, Hart taking a look at Gottsacker, but had to tuck back in again. And I know we talk about this a lot, and we sometimes just having some fun with it. But I think one of the reasons that Jared Andretti is just unflappable is, most of the time he spends Saturday nights in sprint cars, and you don't do that if you're easily anxious.
And that's why he's good at the starts. Typically, they're like 10, 15-minute races, and you just have to get it done quickly. There's no chance to warm up there, and that's really paid dividends making the move to road racing.
Finding where that grip is in a hurry. Look at this train. This is just substantial. And Trinkler, he just turned his best lap of the race at a 1:42.52. That was a half-second quicker than Hinman, and he is closing in.
Well, Robbie Foley's in 9th position for Flying Lizard right now, and he's only 7.1 seconds out of the lead.
I know, it's not just exceptional. Again, Hinman just trying to be creative, figure out any way he can do something here.
I mean, your goal right now, you're about 6 minutes to that pit stop window opening, is to just try and minimize the gap to the car in front. Let your crew have the best possible chance of leapfrogging some of the cars during that exchange. You'd anticipate a lot of these cars staying out towards the end of that 10-minute window, though. Some of the strategy, like Kozrov, they'll probably try and get him on board the 91 car a little bit earlier. But everyone else, I think you'll see maybe stay out a little bit longer and try and maximize the time with which should be the faster driver behind the wheel right now.
Trent Hinman continuing to hound Jared Andretti. This is the battle for 4th overall here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's kind of interesting watching Andretti getting a run on Hart, but what Hinman's dealing with Andretti, to a certain degree, Hart seems to be dealing with Gottsacker. Is there are spots where he will be all over him, and then there are spots when he just loses that little bit of ground, and that's what Hinman's dealing with Andretti. And Leofouge now trying to figure a way through on Jason Wolf in that ST Racing BMW.
Yeah, he's pushing hard. The good news is that he's only, let me look at this, 4.5. He's only just over 3 seconds behind the championship runners that he's trying to chase down, Jason Hart. But the bad news is that's 5 positions right now.
Yeah.
You can see him. Can't get to him.
Yep, stout drivers in front of him here. And he will be turning over to Sean Quinlan. Hart will be turning over to Matt Travis. And Travis has ran in the sprint race for these GT4 cars earlier, so he's got he's going to have maybe a little leg up just in having some advantage of running on this track today. And it is really windy, so we don't know what kind of dust scenarios out there on the track with this desert dust, etc.
Yeah, I think for Matt Travis, he'll have a slight advantage there in terms of getting into a rhythm quickly compared to Sean Quinlan, who's certainly going to be feeling the pressure of the first real Pro Championship run that he's been involved in. You see Hart there looking to the inside of Gottsek, who's dropping off the tail of Cosmo a little bit here over the last couple of laps.
That's a good point. It's over just over a second. That's as big a lead as we have seen for anybody here.
He's miles ahead if you listen to his teammate.
Exactly. He's that glass is half full kind of guy.
That's cool.
I love it.
I like Patrick. He's a nice young man.
And Hinman is never quite close enough here. I think an opportunity for him would be if Andretti actually makes an attack move on Hart and gets stymied. That would maybe be an opportunity for Hinman here.
I'll tell you, we haven't seen Jared Andretti give up any position this year easily.
No.
You know, he's clean, but he is really hard in terms of making you earn it.
This is where he just floated wide, tried to do something here, and Andretti making sure that opening's not there anymore.
You run so close here in this tight sector. If the driver in front of you has a little bobble, you're probably going to have contact.
Up front, Cosmo now has found a little bit of space. 1.1 seconds last time by. See what it is this time through 1.3. And Hart attacking into turn 1 and 2 for that second spot. Gottsek up to it. And then is able to gap him just a little bit. Here comes Andretti once again.
And in the backdrop, I think Leofouge is getting a little bit frustrated here. Jason Wolf has dropped back from this pack a little bit. That is not what Leofouge wants. He's got to make a move on Jason as soon as he can. See them come into view right there, tails away, that Cameron Racing BMW, trying to figure out the puzzle in front of him.
And I'll tell you, things maybe just got a little bit more difficult for Hinman as well because Trinkler's caught him. And now he's going to have to be worried about that 43 McKenna reared Audi in his mirrors while he's trying to attack on Andretti as we are watching Leofouge. Leofouge has to be a little bit careful. I mean, he wants to push, but he also has to give Sean Quinlan something to work with in terms of grip left in those Pirellis.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, of course, in terms of making hay early in this race. But the tire deck this weekend has been very minimal. This racetrack is not abrasive. It's given decent grip here. Now it's rubbered in. So we've seen very little fall off in all of the classes here this weekend in terms of tire performance. Hinman may have a little bit more pace than some of the guys ahead of him, but can't really do anything with it. This is where he seems to struggle here when he gets up on the speedway.
You can see Andretti just able to sort of drive away from him at that point. And Hart thinking about it. This is brave.
That's the first move we've seen into that corner. He's completely sideways, tries to get it together, and he's...
Oh!
Did he clip the wall or not?
I think he did. Just look at that left front corner.
Just brushed it. Wow, that's the first time we've seen anyone make a move legitimately down there other than lapping cars all weekend long. And that just showcases how tricky it is. Championship on the line. Did he need to make that move? I mean, Leofouge is a few positions further back. He could not afford to damage the race car. He would be ruining that if he'd got a little bit wider and torn that car up.
Absolutely, and that's going to bring Leofouge a lot closer to him, obviously, and Greg has seen that, and he understands the dynamic. And look at this, Hinman able to slide through on Hart, and now Trinkler.
Hart's car still looks okay.
Yeah.
In terms of the pace. Didn't cut down a tire. Bodywork has not got any rub that I can see.
No. I wonder if that lower corner on that, if that splitter is broken or it's just a piece that's dangling. Here comes Trinkler down to the inside. They get to the apex. Trinkler up on that curb. That splitter looks on that left side, Kel, like it might be dropping. Let's watch this pass again.
It was a beautiful move. Gartsacker just sees him coming, opens up his hands a little bit, and he's up and over that curb, just rolling too much speed, and his arms and elbows all the way through, and just tickles that tire bundle coming off.
Able to save it, but obviously a big momentum loss as well, and he went from that third spot back to the fifth spot right now, and our pit window is open. Our first takers, and one of them is Andretti.
Yeah, let's see if they can execute a really clean stop. I like this because they have two very evenly matched drivers in terms of performance, so that's an advantage that Andretti Autosport has.
Again, there's no tire change, no refueling, but there is a minimum stop time.
69 seconds is the amount of time that you have to spend on pit lane, including this driver change. So from pit in, the timing stripe there, to pit out. And this should be easily managed in terms of getting the driver change done. As you can see, Kozarov jumping in as soon as possible, which we anticipated. Wow, what a moment for Jason Hart there. He certainly survived a big scare for he and the team by how wide he was there coming out of turn 2.
Absolutely. If he'd pulled that off, it would have been brilliant, of course. But crossed up. All right, let's see. 69 seconds, right? Let's see what the turnover to Colin Mullen for Andretti was here. Watching the time for the rear car as well. Not bad. 69.6, Cal.
Very nicely done. Yeah, team's really starting to fire on all cylinders, executing nicely. Been a big learning curve for Andretti Autosport, but they've been digging deep. And I love the passion that Robin Pemberton has in terms of coming from some of the upper echelons of motorsport, working with John Andretti. He's known for a long time with his son Jarrett. And they're going to turn this into a first-class operation. They've just been really gaining momentum, ticking all the boxes, learning about this race car, and identifying what you need to do to win these races.
The turnover from Burton to Kozarov, 70 seconds even, so not bad either. And we know how fast Mr. Kozarov is, so until he stops settling, we see where things sit. It's going to be fun to watch, certainly, and keeping an eye here.
Gartsacker to Miller could be another one where they have pretty evenly matched drivers to get that car in a little bit sooner.
And for Hart, a couple of the guys, certainly one of them up front here, he's now sits in the 4th spot. But for Leia Fouge, she's now up to 6 and only has one car between himself and Jason Hart. And that lower splitter on that left side looked like it's dragging just a little bit.
Yeah, he's definitely fallen off the pace a little bit. That car is wounded, I think. You can see it there.
Here comes
Trinkler goes by him. Oh boy, is this the championship falling away from the NOLA Sport team.
Has his nemesis in terms of that championship now firmly in his mirrors. You can see how quickly that Trinkler was able to drive off.
Championship contenders in the same snapshot right there. 47 cars, a 4-point lead in the overall season SprintX championship. So those drivers of the 19 right behind them.
This is...
Do they come in and try and look at that front splitter? Nope, stay out.
Gartsacker is in.
Yeah, I anticipated this.
Yeah.
With John Miller celebrating a championship together. Oh, and he's wide. Disaster for Jason Hart. Does he have a cut down left front? He's struggling under braking as the downforce gone away from him.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if that splitter starts...
Has the season gone away from him?
Bouncing off the ground. I mean, you always think about downforce in terms of cornering speed, but it's massive in terms of braking capability.
Drama here with less than 30 minutes to go in the season.
Time counts being yelled out. All right. You can check tires. You can even bleed pressure. They're making a little adjustment here on that left rear. All right, we'll watch it here. That's 69 seconds right there, a little long.
Yeah, they were a couple of seconds outside the margin, but still not too bad. It's not going to hurt them too much, but there you see the Andretti Autosport car running alongside, so that's a battle for position, I believe.
You're absolutely right. It's a drag race here. Mullen now on board the Window World Endurance Warranty McLaren. He's taking a look down to the inside here.
Yeah, and he's in a rhythm, even though John Miller will get up to speed quickly. Now, this is the big question mark. How damaged is this NOLA Sport entry?
This is actually, I think, Hinman in the
sorry,
Marketplace car.
Mistake.
No, it's caught me out a number of times. They're so close this year. He's doing a little bob and weave, wondering if he's checking something and how the car feels. Leafoge is in as well.
Just a couple of minutes left. 25 minutes left on the race. You have to have made that pit stop. You don't have to have finished it, but you have to be on pit lane with 25 minutes left in this race or have been there.
And now Jason Hart is indeed in to turn over to Matt Travis. A key group of stops here. Keep an eye on that clock here as we're watching this little battle. Cosmo and Trinkler are yet to stop. They are pushing that envelope a bit, aren't they?
Here comes Brynjolfsson looking for points today in the Porsche Cup as well as a position in this race. There is Guy Cosmo.
69.1 seconds. Hinman to Brynjolfsson.
Perfectly executed by Mike Johnson and the crew there at Park Place Racing. You'd anticipate Cosmo coming in this lap. You can't afford a bobble if you cut it too close.
Leafoge to Quinlan, they lost 3 seconds. Oh boy, for Jason Wolf to Samantha Tan, that is a big margin. That's 13 seconds they ran long, as here comes your leader.
If they nail this, they should give the track position and the lead to Patrick Byrne, but if they have a slow one, it could put Colin Mullen into the lead. We see the final pit stops occurring.
Cosmo out.
Hart to Travis, 69.8. That's a pretty good one there.
Just keeping an eye on those clocks here. So much of a roll here. If everything goes smoothly, you should have plenty of time in these stops, but you get one, a belt drops, driver sits on a belt, the cord gets into the wrong spot. Seconds tick away rather furiously, watching the time for Cosmo.
Brynjolfsson with that perfectly executed stop. They've actually got the track position over Colin Mullen. So the Volt Racing team have leapfrogged to the front of this pack. Just got to wait to see where Byrne comes out, etc., and see everyone cycle through.
Oh, they're long, Cal.
Oh, boy.
Really long. 5 seconds they gave up.
There it is. He's going to drop down to about the 3rd or 4th spot.
He's going to have to find it just a little bit here. And Toby Grahovic is in, so yeah, it should be Brynjolfsson leading from Mullen, then Miller.
Yep, this is the lead. We're looking at it right there, but he gets a little bit wide through turn 3. Mullen putting the pressure on. This is a battle for the lead in this race with all of the pit stops now having occurred. Just got to be patient. And I'm trying to get into a rhythm here. Had a tough start to the day when he got taken out in the sprint race a little bit earlier on the opening lap, or got involved, should I say.
Right. Oh, Mullen getting a big run, looks down to the inside. Brynjolfsson has no option. They'll let him slide through.
It's like a cut and paste. Car's in the same position. The Volt Racing car all over the back of the Andretti Autosport.
So after the pit stop sequences, it is just now a pass for the lead. Colin Mullen taking the Andretti Autosport machine to the lead, and then a late move as well. Down to the inside by John Miller. He and Brynjolfsson side by side as they run through the north apron. This is the battle for second with Patrick Byrne right behind, still side by side.
What an
You've
awesome
got to
battle.
give that guy room to let him come back down per the rule. Nice job by Brynjolfsson. Miller taking advantage, slices through, and picks up that second spot. What a battle here after the pit stops are done here in Nevada. That was about as intense a few minutes as it gets.
That was beautiful driving there. What a jump in. It was just fantastic action, and hats off to both of those drivers, giving each other just enough racing room. That is really, to me, a statement in Alan Brynjolfsson, you know, how he's developed and matured as a driver, because he handled that beautifully under a lot of pressure, but didn't get involved, didn't touch any cars, and just continues on his way in third position, admittedly, but just a beautiful piece of driving by both John Miller and Alan.
It was, and the thing that got me here, Cal, as we take another look at it, is in the drivers' meetings, they said if you're on the inside and the guy on the outside is up over that white line, you've got to give him room to come back down. Brynjolfsson did exactly that.
Did that, and just feeling it out from you're not going to see the driver in your rear view mirror or your side view mirror. Then it's all about just feeling, sensing on your quarter panel, where is the other race car, and John Miller did that beautifully.
Absolutely, and now Patrick Byrne up on the wheel just a little bit. I'd like to be able to take that third spot away from Alan Brynjolfsson. Behind Byrne is Quinlan, and that is going to be the championship battle here. As right now, he has got that spot. Quinlan running in the 5th spot, Travis in the 10th spot. Now that's overall. It's 3rd versus 6th in class. That's the point story, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's a 7-point swing, and they're 4 points behind, so that would be enough as they run right now. So we just got to keep our eyes on that in terms of the Pro-Am class running order. Quinlan in the 19 Stephen Cameron Racing BMW runs in 3rd. Travis, a lot of work to do down in 6th. Is the car damaged? That is the key factor.
That, too, is a very, very good point. Looking in the AM category for the national championship, in the 12th spot, the number 64, Anthony Lazaro and Dmitry Novikov. Well, now they've moved up into 11th, lead the AM category. Behind them are the champions. The number 51, Preston Calvert, had started, turned over to Matt Keegan. And as we watch John Miller, who's trying to make up after all that side-by-side action, you can see Colin Mullen has opened up about a 2.4 second margin. And Miller's got to put his head down, try and find that speed and get after it. Here's Brynjolfsson feeling the pressure from Byrne. But I did want to make one point about the number 51 Panos of Keegan and Calvert. They were in, they had a big lead, but it wasn't a done deal until we got to this venue, and Chris Wilson and his co-driver, John Allen, did not show up at the event, even though they'd been entered. And the reason for that was that John Allen decided that they were really going to struggle to try. Oh, big move there, Byrne.
Nice.
Squeezing inside. Yeah, it was.
He did a nice job, and just clears Allen as they come up onto the speedway. Saw John Allen in the hotel last night in a neck brace, so he's had a rough couple of weeks with some surgery.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He decided there was some surgery that he'd been waiting to do, and he said, I don't know that we've really got a realistic shot at it. And he said, I want to get this surgery done so I can be fully recovered come the start of next season. He's got another round of surgery to go. Just doing some work on the spine here, and great to see him here, though, as you said. And he said, I wanted to at least make the bank, but there's no way I could be driving. And Chris Wilson showed up and promptly found a ride in the Saline Cup.
Yeah, no, so it's good news for everyone. Be good to see that driving pairing back next year, hopefully.
Ooh, Byrne bit wide there, but Brynjolfsson not quite close enough to really do anything with it. And behind Byrne and Brynjolfsson is Quinlan, and again, that is That blue and orange BMW, that is the battle for the championship.
Just looking at the pace to try and determine if the 47 car is damaged. Travis just ran a 44 flat. Quinlan ran a 44.6. So seems like Travis may have enough pace to chase down some of the cars in front of him. The problem is there's a 10-second gap between he and the next car in line, which is the 92 car. And that's a big gap to try and make up.
That is a good point. We're going to report the 91. That is a car we were expecting to see flying around here and up through the field. Getting report Kozarov has had to take that car back into the paddock. Day is done. That's a real shame. You know, he puts on a show with
pole
some
here
fireworks
yesterday and dominated the first half of this race until he started to struggle right at the end.
John Miller in the ST Racing BMW running in the second spot right now, trying to dig deep, find some speed, because he's about 3.3 seconds adrift of the Andretti Autosport McLaren right there, about to make a turn into turn 3. That is the battle at the sharp end of things. Mullen and Andretti running in the National Pro-Am Series. Miller running in the Western Pro-Am Series. They've already been crowned champs. And this is one of the big stories that's unfolding. Here's the number 47 of Matt Travis. And DeCalu sits in the 8th spot right now overall, but 6th in the Pro-Am category. They're in a nip and tuck points battle. And Ryan, you're with starting driver Jason Hart.
Yes, Jason, we saw you out there running at the front for much of your stint, but a problem there towards the end. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, so we were running a pretty conservative pace, and the car in front of me, the Godsacker car, really started slowing down in pace, and it was pushing me back into the call-in car and then the Trent Hinman car behind that. And I just didn't want any part of racing, and so I finally got a good run out of 12 and passed him into 1, and then Harry jammed me in the rear in the middle of the chicane and put me in the tire wall. Shortly thereafter, we had a left front tire failure. Pretty frustrating, but right now it's kind of cool because now it's up to the gents, right? So Sean and Matt are going to go for it for the championship. Right now Matt's pulling down, I don't know, close to 2 seconds a lap on him. So we'll just see if there's enough time for him to get there.
How good is the car? Is it still okay?
I think it's still mega. I'm not sure if the contact popped the tire, if I ran something over, because the car was still mega after.
Well, that's good to hear. We wish you the best of luck the rest of the way. Fingers crossed.
Thanks so much.
That was subtle because I didn't even catch it on the first take, and looking at it again, it must have been right as he turned into turn 2 when he was kind of arms and elbows. He must have gotten a little nudge, which was enough to push him out wide. But let's take another look at this, Greg. He makes a beautiful move down to the inside. We haven't seen that happen all weekend long. Harry certainly doesn't touch him there, but as he's sideways, I'm not sure if he got touched or not, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was he bounced into that curb and it snapped himself, but he wasn't on the curb. I'm talking about Hart, but it was just tough because it was just on that one blind spot from that camera angle. You just really couldn't see if there was contact or not. It was close, but it could have just been the energy of the car rotating around, couldn't it? So
yeah, I mean, I don't think Harry really did anything wrong. I'm sure from Jason's perspective, championship on the line, he feels a little bit aggrieved that maybe another competitor forced him out there, but I think he was going to struggle to keep it on the racetrack anyway by committing like he did as a beautiful move that he nearly pulled off. And here's problems for the Reardon Racing. Sierra Catano, number 43 car's lost a wheel. This is going to probably cause a full course caution, so this could really set the cat amongst the pigeons here.
Oh boy, she's way up. I mean, she's not really in any kind of a racing line area here, but just have that car sit there for 15 minutes? Well, we'll see what the stewards decide. But in talking, you had mentioned not that long ago, didn't you, that Travis was 10 seconds back of that group in front of him. It's 5.7 now. He is hooked up.
He is hooked up, but he's got to make a lot of ground up.
True.
Because he needs to finish. I mean, if Quinlan can hang on to the 3rd position, that's got a big points jump between 3rd and 4th. And that would mean that Travis would need to finish right behind him.
Yeah, oh boy, this is getting curiouser and curiouser. And we are full course caution, as you said. Cat, pigeons, they're together.
Let the feathers fly.
Exactly. And just under 15 minutes remaining. And for Miller, this is a reset opportunity. As he had been 4.3 seconds back. Problem is that lap after lap after lap, Mullen was able to run at least a half-second quicker. So I have to see whether if that was just that Miller and his starting driver Gottsager pushed those tires a little bit too much, and this will let those tires come back a bit. Who knows? But the big beneficiary here will be Travis, as everything compresses in front of him.
That puts a lot of heat on Quinlan.
Yes, it does. Well, it's 4 points is the difference, right? It's
4 points coming in.
Doesn't get a whole lot closer than that. Mullen leading in the Pro-Am National Championship. Miller leading in the Western Pro-Am Series at this stage in the Pro-Am category. Looking in the AMs, it is Matt Keegan leading in the National Am. 9th overall, the number 51, Panos Avezzano GT. And Dmitry Novikov, who's really been on good form here this week. And Anthony Lazzaro started that Reardon Mercedes. But Novikov is running some pretty competitive laps as well. And
just going back over the points here, I think some of the points that were awarded yesterday were taken away from competitors who didn't run, so we'll try and get clarification on this. It may just be a 1 point margin.
That is as close as it gets. And in the Western Am category, it is currently the USRD, the US Racing Development Audi, in the hands now of Casey Dennis. Check that. Casey started it. It's Jeff Bader that leads in that Western Am category in this race right now. However, right behind him is the number 67. That is the car that sits second, Kevin Woods, having taken over from Chris Belomo. But right now, let's get down into the pits as we're under caution. The other side of that points battle equation is this man, Greg Leafauge.
And he's chewing his fingernails, I think, right now. This thing's coming down to the wire, and that's how this championship has been. It's been up and down all season, and this weekend's maybe a microcosm of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this weekend has been just like ups and downs, since after practice 2, really, where something was wrong with our primary car, so we had to switch cars, and that car ended up breaking in the sprint race. So it was a good choice in the end, but that puts us way in the back for every start. So we're not looking really optimistic at the start of this race, but then something happened to Travis and Hart there. So just, ups and downs of racing, and it's not over yet. So
right, and now you get this yellow. Things were looking fairly positive, but you were saying this yellow is not what you wanted to see.
Not really. I mean, Sean is doing a good job out there, but it's definitely going to be a lot of pressure. Travis is right here, 2 cars back, so fingers crossed, it's going to be a battle.
I know you're on the radio with Sean a lot. What is the message to him when we go back to green?
Mainly focusing on his driving and hitting the marks. He can do the lap times, but the pressure is so high, it's easy to make a mistake.
Thanks for the time. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's close, Cal.
Yeah, we just got clarification on the points as they sit right now. Quinlan would lead this championship he's got a point lead coming in, so if he can maintain the track position, it's really who beats who right now at this stage of the game.
It is that close in the battle for the GT4 Pro-Am Championship here in this season finale run in the desert of Las Vegas. We thought it was close at 4. 1 point.
Yeah, it's really tight. So there's only certain cars are scored in this championship. So after yesterday's results, got some clarification here that it's a 1 point lead for the 19 over the 47. So Travis has to get in front of Quinlan to wrestle the championship away now.
And with this caution, it's just packing everybody up. And you heard Greg Leafauge had that comment about this is not what we wanted, because we had a number of seconds in hand and some cars that Travis would have to fight through. Well, he'll still have to fight through those cars, but if he can do it relatively quickly, the gaps are much smaller now.
Oh, for sure. It's a complete game changer. But for Travis, I'm sure he'd be, if he had a wallet with him, he'd be throwing some $20 bills at those wrecker operators to try and get that Reardon racing car on that flatbed as quickly as possible and gives him some time to work with. Quinlan, on the other hand, maybe throwing 50s out the window.
That's a really good point.
Take your time.
Take your time. No rush here, guys. And the other element of this whole thing is time remaining in this race. It is ticking away here. So even if Travis has a little bit more speed relative to Quinlan, Omacht and Dynan certainly are guys that are capable. Dynan has shown some turns of some really solid speed. So it's not necessarily it. You've got a very fast driver behind Travis and Matt Keegan in that Panos as well.
Lots to play for. How much time are we going to have to play for it?
Yeah, good point. That's the whole story here. The thing is all depends on when they decide that the track is ready to go back to green, and where is that Acura NSX official safety vehicle at that point. And if it's just like, okay, we can get the lights off and go, but if they have to do another lap, just eat even more deeply.
I think for sure we're going to be going back to green. It's just how much time will be left to play with. Hopefully we can get it done in just one more lap, which on coasting behind the safety car will probably eat it up close to 3 minutes, I would think. So it should leave about 5 minutes on the board. But if you do another one, then it's really to a 1-2 lap shootout.
Be interested to see here. I mean, Keegan's fast. Novikov, we haven't seen a lot, but he has shown some turns of speed, and maybe the guy that's going to really affect that battle for that National Am class win. Again, Keegan and Calvert have already clinched it, but in terms of this race win, is with this caution. Now James Safronis sits third and will be right on the rear deck of that group.
Yeah, it should be a great little shootout.
And the Western Pro-Am, Samantha Tan has taken over from Jason Wolf. She sits third in that category. That should be more than enough to make it a 1-2 sweep for SD Racing in that category, correct?
Yes, big year for that group. They always have a lot of fun with their racing program, putting a nice little event here a couple of nights ago and celebrated with the rest of the paddock, invited everyone over some food and drinks, which they do on occasion. So thank you to Noir, their PR director, ST Racing, for the invite.
Yeah, she does a great job. Yes. Started working with her back in the old Toyota Atlantic Championship days, and she is just absolutely superb at what she does, and does a great job of keeping everybody aware of what's unfolding with ST Racing, and any team she's involved with. Does a lot of work with the used to be called the CASCAR series up in Canada. He's got drivers that are awfully well looked after there as well.
He's worked with Bruno Spengler, who's a BMW factory pilot in the DTM. Here we go. Are those lights going to go out or not?
So once they, no. So another lap. That's what I was talking about. It's just all a matter of timing. As we were told by race control that the last opportunity was 3.
Yeah. So that's eating a good 2.5 minutes. We're going to eat another 2.5. So there's going to be about 3 minutes left on the clock. So
apparently those 50s are paying off. We jest, of course.
Okay, so 3 minutes to get back to here. So probably 2.5 laps in terms of green flag action. They're going to start them here, finish on the front stretch. So maybe 2.5 laps to go.
Travis, he's got to get by Omacht. He's got to get by Dynan. And then get by Quinlan.
Go full Ricky Bobby on this one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's got to channel his hero. And I'm really going to be curious to see if Miller is going to be able to have that speed now to be able to go after Mullen, if it was worn tires, or if that McLaren has just got that level of pace. And Byrne was running pretty quickly in that Mercedes as well.
Yeah, and I think for John Miller, he's got another West Pro class win in his hands right here, but I think he'd love to finish off this season with an overall win. So I think he's going to be going for it and go on the attack here on Colin Mullen.
Yeah, Absolutely, and you know, not a bad thing to say. Yeah, last race of the season I won, and the car that I passed late in the going was from Andretti Autosport. That's a nice little feather in the cap. And it'll be interesting to see what Brynjolfsson can do. He can be very quick.
Here's the gap. There's Sean Quinlan in that bright orange and blue Steve Cameron Racing BMW. Then two cars. Michael Dynan, Chris Omarkt, between he and Travis in the battle for the championship.
Lights are out on the Acura NSX safety car. It scoots away over in turn 3, staying on the apron and leading the field into the infield to pick up the green. And this should be a 2-lap shootout, perhaps, maybe 3. Colin Mullen in the Andretti Autosport Window World Endurance Warranty McLaren in front of the ST Racing GPI Biotech BMW of John Miller. Both of them Pro-Am cars running in different categories. Miller in the West, Mullen in the National Championship with some hungry drivers behind. We are back to green. And Colin Mullen ramping it beautifully through turn 7, giving himself enough of a margin. Look at the big move. Brynjolfsson down on Byrne.
That was a nice move there. He was up on the wheel and makes that position stick. Right behind that little battle is Sean Quinlan aboard the championship leading number 19 car. That bright orange and blue car, you see it right there. He's got no pressure from behind right now. He just needs to hit his marks, try and bring it home.
And that somewhat bright yellow machine with the black trim on the nose, that is Travis. That's the car that is second in the points. That's your margin. What can Travis do here in 2.5 minutes? That's the story.
He's got to put it all on the line right now. There'll be 2 laps to go here. They'll see the white flag next time by. Not this time, next time by.
Mullen up front is scooted away. Quinlan attacking on Byrne here. Oh, and look at that. Travis is through. Gets through on Omarkt. That's one spot.
Putting it all on the line as now Keegan goes side by side with Omarkt as they enter the Speedway section. Important for Travis there to clear these cars as quickly as possible. Try and put some heat on Sean Quinlan on the final lap of this race.
Down to the inside of both of them, Sofronis. He is side right alongside here as he's trying to get up there and go for the win. I think Sofronis may have gone through on Keegan now. But, again, watching up front, Mullen over Miller, he's got some room. Here comes Travis attacking on Dynan. That flying lizard, blue and silver Porsche. If he gets through on him, the next car is the car they are battling for the championship. You have to wonder if maybe
will he get some help? Will he get some help from a fellow Porsche driver? I think he's going to clear Dynan. Then the next driver is the one he has to get around. Potential championship change here in the final lap of the season.
Just going to say, was a Nola Sport guy down talking to the Lizard team going, please. Dynan didn't fight that too aggressively, so, boy, a lap and a half.
Quinlan's wide, he's pushing. That was through turn 10, that BMW floating wide through there. He's just got to bring it home.
Brynjolfsson loses it.
Wow, and Quinlan gets by him, but he looks like he balked momentarily. He's lost momentum. Brynjolfsson now back on the wheel. Is that car damaged?
I thought he kept it off the wall, but it certainly killed his momentum here. And here we go. Bottom of the screen, there goes Quinlan. Right behind him is Hart.
Oh, look how close they are. Travis is all over him. This is for the championship right there. Whoever beats each other, they will be the champion.
Right there, that BMW. Quinlan getting a little bit better run. Maybe a little bit better gear ratio as he works through the south apron. And you know Travis, if he's close, he's going to attack big time down into turn 3. He looks to the inside. Quinlan looks to the inside of Byrne, and that left Travis with nowhere to go. Travis is going to square up underneath on the inside. They are side by side. Travis has to tuck back in.
Quinlan protects, but he loses a lot of time. Travis is all over him right now. He's trying to work him over. He's going to try and duck to the inside as they head over towards turn 7.
Watch for an undercut here. He shows the nose. He's got it alongside, but that tightened his radius up, and Quinlan gets a little bit more of a run. Can he now defend? Early on the brakes, but right in the middle of the track for Quinlan.
And Quinlan withstand the pressure here. What does Travis do? Does he have a card up his sleeve here he can play here in the final few corners of the championship season?
The one thing we've seen, I think, if Quinlan can lead out of 12, and here we go, Travis throwing it all, he's off! He is off the track.
He was all in, Greg, there, and just couldn't get the grip needed. Quinlan just needs to hit his marks here and bring it home.
The crew telling him, keep it off that wall, ease onto the throttle, you've got it, bud. Meanwhile, up front, Colin Mullen will bring Andretti Autosport another win on the weekend. What a weekend for that team. Miller comes home second, wins his class, again in Western Pro-Am. But the story will be Quinlan coming across the line. Look at the celebration in Steve Cameron Racing Camp. They are jubilant, and understandably so. What a run to the flag, Cal.
That was amazing. Gary Rubio there. I used to race against him in Indy Lights. He's part of that engineering squad for Steve Cameron Racing. Just a beautiful execution of this race by Greg Leofus from deep in the pack. Did everything he had to. That little bobble for Jason Hart opened up the door and they took it.
Well, and Jason, what I was going to say was if Hart didn't lead, or if Travis didn't lead out of 12, that BMW had some grunt on the straight. Travis knew it. Knew that the last opportunity was into 11.
I love it. He put it all on the line
did.
there. He went for it, and that's what championships should be all about.
As you said, in Vegas, he was all in and made it work. And Miller, even though he didn't get the overall win, another win in the Western Championship for that team. Absolutely incredible. Let's go back and watch that moment in the attack by Travis right here, Cal.
Yeah, through turn 10. Oh, this is earlier in the lap, actually. This is through 6 and 7. He's trying to work him over, but Sean Quinlan just hits his marks, does not open up the door. Travis now gets to the flank of the BMW, but Sean is doing everything he needs to do and placing that BMW perfectly. And then it heats up right here. Watch Travis flash to the outside, looking for grip. He can't find it, and he's off the road. And Quinlan is through and maintains the position.
Wow. What a finish on this championship. Incredible here at Las Vegas, the season finale extraordinaire. You know, we had pointed out that James Sifronis might be able to do something in terms of the AM category win. He finished 6th overall. He was back outside of the top 10. He took advantage of the opportunity created by Travis, but I mean, he went by a number of cars. What a job. And in the Western AM category, last lap, Derek DeBoer came through and passed a number of guys and ends up, he and Jim Rappaport for TRG win in the Western AM category. Some great runs late in this one on that final restart, 2-lap sprint to the finish, Cal.
That's awesome for Derek and Jim and the TRG group to finish that season on a high. They never stop digging, never give up. They're rewarded with another class victory here today.
Into victory circle, and here they come. The class winners, certainly, Colin Mullen and Jared Andretti. What a run. And there you see James Sifronis, who at the start on that restart was outside of the top 10. We thought he might have a shot at that AM win. And guess what? He ended up not only winning AM, but finishing 6th overall with he and Jason Bell in that Global Motorsports Group car. That was absolutely a stunning run in the highway systems, Osteria Kitchen and Bar and Grid Sport entry. But here, the gloves are coming off. Can't wait to hear from this young man, Colin Mullen. He just had speed after that driver change. Every time after that caution, nobody could catch him, Ryan.
No one could catch Colin Mullen. Congratulations. What a weekend this was. Great way to close out the season as well.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And fantastic, fantastic way to close out the year. We've had our fair share of bad luck this year for sure, but to finish on a high note, getting our first 2 overall wins in SprintX was amazing. So hats off to this whole Andretti team. These guys work tirelessly in the paddock, every weekend in and week out. Graham was amazing on strategy today, getting us in early and out so we can get the undercut on people. And Jarrett drove one hell of an opening stint. It was incredible watching him work through from 8th to 4th and only matter a few laps. So, I mean, overall amazing. I can't believe we got the win done today.
Congratulations, well done. And if we can move on this way, let's go ahead and talk to our champions. It came down to the final lap of the season, and this guy figured it out. Sean, What was that last lap like?
That was exciting. More excitement than I wanted, but it was definitely exciting, and I'm glad we actually got to race for it. And you know, we were close, and it was so much fun.
It's been a wild season as well. The way the NOLA Sport guys started, you had a huge hole to climb out of, but you had a great run of form in the last half of the season. Where did it come from?
You know, this is my first year in GT4. I was getting acclimatized to the car. You know, Greg's been coaching me, so we slowly picked up our game, got the pit stops under control, and then today was special. I mean, we had the 2 grid penalties, really made our work cut out for us, and Greg did an amazing job, got us ahead of them, and then I could just hold on, just.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, that battle at the end with Travis in full attack mode, absolutely incredible. Here you have a look at the results. It was a solid one as well. And note, back in 12th, Derek DeBoer and that restart leapfrog to the front of the Western Am category. He and Jim Rappaport winning for the Racers Group. Let's take a look at those highlights. It started, Guy Cosmo at the start of this race was able to just take off and open up a little bit of a margin. He was hounded for a bit by Gottsacker, but it was that 3rd place car. As we hop on board here, Trent Hinman made some great overtakes in the early going, Cal.
Yeah, that was a beautiful one that he just put together there on Jason Wolf, and then suddenly there was drama right here. Down at the inside, Jason Hart all over the curbs there and just clips that tire bundle. Thought the car was damaged. They managed to recover and make a race of it in the end.
And some more incredibly close racing here. Beautiful move there as Brynjolfsson giving great racing room there. And then, of course, the battle at the end for the championship was absolutely intense as Matt Travis, with a late caution and a restart after Sarah Catania lost it, giving his all, going all in here in Vegas to try and make the move. It fell wide for him at the end. Mullen gets the win, but the championship goes to Stephen Cameron Racing.